This is your trigger warning for this week's episode of How Awful Podcast. I was about to say, if you're not a fan of rape,
I hope you're not.
I mean, if you are a fan, then this is not the episode for you. This is not the podcast for you. You should maybe turn yourself into the police. Maybe, or get some help if you haven't. All right, this is getting away from me. This episode features some sexual assault. So if that's not something you can listen to, and skip B's story and go right on to Tanya's nightmare.
It's just, when you feel it coming.
I feel it coming.
Just move on.
I feel it coming, baby.
Anyway, we hope you stick around, and if not, we'll see you later.
Trigger.
How awful.
Izzy, look in the camera.
Izzy.
Where you going?
No. Sit, look.
Izzy,
Be
look.
model. Cindy Crawford.
Izzy. Oh, moosh.
Oh, you ruined the shot.
No, he made it better.
Did.
Yeah. Hello.
Oh, hello.
We're here. Sorry, we weren't paying attention to you.
No, we were paying attention to our assistants, who are, once again, were not doing their tasks. You fully heard that purr into the mic. Are you a baby? Oh, you're getting a good one. Let's be silent.
I think I got
That's
some
the
good purr
good
sounds
stuff.
there, yeah.
That's the good stuff right there, guys.
Who are you?
I'm B. Who are you?
I'm Tanya Lee. Welcome to the How Awful Podcast, where we tell you awful things.
I had an existential crisis for a minute. I wasn't sure if I was B.
Who could you be if you weren't B?
You? I was about to say I'm Tanya Lee. Freaky Friday.
What does that make me?
Manic Monday.
I guess B.
Yeah, that would make you B. Could you imagine if we Freaky Friday'd? What would that be like?
Oh, I think you'd be so upset.
Why?
You'd be like, this is what she does and thinks all day?
I would wake up and be like, no, I have to work out. This is bad news, bears. And I would be like taking a shower and just with my eyes closed. I can't disrespect it.
You'd be like, why does she want to be naked so much?
I just want to take my clothes off.
Literally the minute you left today, I took off my robe.
I just dropped it.
Literally. I was like, all right, see you later.
What are you going to
I'm free.
You got to remember, we're going to have company. Can't do it.
I don't do that when there's people here, clearly.
Good.
I didn't do that when your mother was here.
Good. She would be alarmed.
You don't say.
She would be alarmed.
All of a sudden, I'd be your roommate, not
I feel like,
her other daughter.
I feel like if we Freaky Friday'd, I would just be thinking about food and pooping and the cats.
Yeah.
And Harry Styles.
Yeah. I also think about movie ideas all day long.
Yeah, all day long.
And like time travel.
I wish my brain worked creatively still, but it doesn't. I miss that. That was a good time.
You know what? I thought the same thing, and then I kind of just forced myself into it.
Oh, I've tried forcing myself. It doesn't work. My brain's just like, no, we don't work. Today, you know what my brain was doing?
What?
Fully stopping in the middle of sentences while talking to prospects.
Well, that's fun.
Just fully stopping. I'd be like, no, I'd literally be like, you can check our website for available abilities that are available.
It sounded like you said
I just repeated
available
myself.
abilities. Like,
Yeah.
you could try some abilities if you want to.
Yeah, that's how my brain was working. It was really great. I love when it just decides, like, we're just going to stop right in the middle.
Hey, what are we consuming tonight? Should we share with our friends?
We're consuming a lovely Sauvignon Blanc from Lily's collection. It's a 2020. Wow, that's not a good year.
That's a bad year.
I shouldn't have bought this.
Wow. This wine is now...
Bad year. It's a cursed year.
Yeah, this wine is now categorized as awful.
It's from Middleton, California.
It tastes good. It's. There's a yappies.
Not a yep. Someone's assistant is being bad in the hallway.
Izzy, sit.
Oh, my coworker today had a really good comeback for somebody not wearing a mask today.
I thought you were going to say to a dog.
No, just somebody not wearing a mask today. So I work in property management.
Yes.
And my coworker, who I adore, I'm not going to say her name because she has not consented to that, but she, a gentle fellow, a resident that did not have a mask on, was getting on the elevator. And he had the audacity to ask her when the gym was going to be open. And she went, well, I don't know. Maybe if more people wore their masks, it would be open sooner rather than later, as the elevator doors were closing.
Oh, snap. I love that.
It's like, UAG. Oh, we're taking more pictures of the assistant.
Oh, she's completely not in this shot.
No, she moved. This is failing. This is failing. Now she's gone. Okay.
Sorry, I dropped the mic.
We just wasted a minute of time.
Sorry, I dropped my phone on my microphone.
What'd you do today? What? Oh, phone on your microphone.
I'm wrapping our show, so
Yeah.
I did a lot of things that are really boring that I'm not going to tell people about because it's sustainability documents.
Fun.
Called
Your sweatshirt says work in protest.
It does.
I like
I
it.
protested work today. I was like, that's enough. That's good. I actually was productive today until about 3 o'clock, and at 3 o'clock I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. Same with my boss. So
That's about
fine.
the time I decided. My brain decides I'm not going to do it
My
anymore.
boss and I were like, that's good. We did good today.
Yeah.
We're done now.
Yep.
Yeah.
My productivity is like, that's the sound my productivity makes.
You know what sound my productivity makes?
Huh. I don't even know what to do to that. You are so insanely weird.
I just thought of that right now.
You sounded, I don't even know what you sounded like. You kind of sounded like the guy from Prodigy.
I think I sounded like the aliens from Signs.
What is wrong with us right now?
Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast. I think we're
This is how awful.
we're okay.
We're being awful.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. You know what? I woke up.
High five.
I did it.
Me too.
I didn't like it. I got real mad first thing this morning
I
because
didn't work out today.
our lawn care guys were there at 7:30 in the morning. That's not right.
No.
That's wrong.
But you're not invited.
And I almost opened my balcony door to yell over, "Who sends you?" I really want to know if they're scheduled to arrive at that time or if they just show up at a time. This is an ongoing thing for me.
Come back later.
The saga of the lawn care people on Mondays. They come too early.
You could suddenly be a New Yorker and be like, come back later.
There's mashing sounds.
See.
You probably just insulted New Yorkers. It's fine.
Yeah.
We got no mail this week.
No mail this week.
No mail?
No mail from our friends. Sorry. It's like scarfing.
Oh, not true. We got a message on Patreon from our new Patreon, Lizzie.
Oh, yeah. Welcome.
Welcome, Lizzie. Welcome. Come on. You and your
She
sister.
said she had all these stories to tell us. And
Well, then tell us the freaking stories,
she didn't
Lizzie.
tell us any of them.
Useless.
Oh, well, anyway, we hope that you guys are enjoying the episode so far.
Yep. We're doing great.
You have a glass.
So
you have a glass of, you're probably driving, so.
That's fair. They're driving or they're getting ready
Don't
they're
be
working
drinking.
from home.
Yeah.
You can drink if you're working from home.
Yeah,
You're
that's
working
fine.
from home. They don't know. How are they going to know? How are they going to know?
I
Just
think
put it in a Starbucks cup.
I think this episode is going to be.
Promoting alcoholism. What?
Yeah. What are you saying?
I don't know.
I think this episode is going to be a doozy.
A doozy. We both have longins, so strap in. We should
yes.
probably get started.
So, as the French Canadians say, attache ta tuque.
Oh, yeah. Hold on to your hat, guys, because it's a serious one. That's what she just said.
Attache ta tuque.
They call it tooks. It's very cute.
Very cute. Okay, well, anyway, tell me about your took.
Tell me about my took? Okay.
Yeah. What topic did you have?
True crime, and you had...
Lore.
Don't tell him. You ain't even got to tell him. Don't tell him. You don't even got to tell him. But you should tell him because they want to know.
We should do a collective deep breath.
Okay. We're ready to podcast.
All right, let's go.
I smell poop.
I didn't do it.
I smell cat poop. You don't smell it.
I went into
I
the
smell
toilet.
assistant poop.
Moosh, do you have a dingle?
I'm a little worried. You're a little close and I smell poop.
Mooshy?
He shouldn't have dingles. He's been groomed.
I think her food kind of has a poo smell.
No, I don't think it does. Okay, anyway. True crime.
Is it true?
It's true.
And is it a crime?
It is crime.
Oh.
It is true crime from kind of our hometown. Kind of. It's more out by where my mom lives. So I'm going to tell you about Richard Benjamin Speck. Does that ring a bell?
No. But
really?
maybe the crime will.
Okay. He was born in Kirkwood, Illinois, so that's adjacent of Joliet, not Joliet, for those of you.
Joliet.
Actually, fun fact about Joliet, Illinois. People mispronounce it so often, they call it Joliet, Illinois, that the town has instated a fine. So, if they hear you pronounce Joliet, while in the fine neighborhood of Joliet, you get fined $5. Isn't that amazing?
I want to do that in my house.
My cousin Rachel would be fined all the time.
Yes.
Joliet all the time.
What?
Well, you know what's funny is there's Joliet Road and there's Joliet, city of Joliet, right?
Right.
She can say where my mom lives, Joliet. She can say Joliet.
Yeah.
But if she's talking about Joliet Road, it's Joliet.
Huh.
Make it make sense.
I can't.
Can't.
What should we find people for saying wrong in our household?
Moosh.
Moosh, yeah.
If you call him smoosh or mushy or mushy, so my mom would just owe us a whole lot of money.
Hey-oh.
Hey-oh! Sorry.
All right, anyway.
Love you,
true
mommy.
crime.
Okay, well, I was born in Kirkwood, Illinois, the seventh of 8 children of Benjamin Franklin Speck and Mary Margaret Carbo, or
Benjamin.
Carba, or kind of, I don't know.
Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin Speck. They're very
Speck.
patriotic.
Speck sounds familiar, I won't lie.
Richard Speck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The family moved to Monmouth, Illinois, shortly after Speck's birth. Speck and his, that sounds like I'm saying something bad. Speck and his younger sister, Carolyn, were much younger than their 4 older sisters and 2 older brothers.
Okay.
Speck's eldest brother, Robert, died at the age of 23 in an automobile accident in 1952. Speck's father worked as a packer at Western Stoneware in Monmouth and had previously worked as a farmer and logger. Speck was very close to his father, who died in 1947 from a heart attack at the age of 53. Speck was 6 years old at the time.
Okay. When his dad died.
Yes.
Okay.
So, fun fact, when the crime that Speck commits happened, my mom remembers it.
Mm.
It was all over the news.
Did you tell her about what you were talking about?
No, I didn't tell her, but it was while I was home, we were talking about Statesville Prison,
Okay.
and she brought his name up, and it reminded me that I wanted to do this.
Okay, cool.
A few years later, Speck's religious teetotaler mother fell in love with a traveling insurance salesman from Texas, Carl Lindbergh, whom she met on a train trip to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
The hard-drinking Lindbergh, with a 25-year criminal record that started with forgery and included several arrests for drunk driving, was the opposite of Speck's sober, hardworking father. Speck's mother married Lindbergh on May 10th, 1950 in Palo Pinto, Texas. Speck and his younger sister Carolyn stayed with their married sister Sarah Thornton in Monmouth for a few months so Speck could finish 2nd grade, before joining their mother in Lindbergh in rural Santo, Texas, 40 miles west of Fort Worth, Texas, where Speck attended 3rd grade. Just backstory. After a year in Santo, Speck moved with his mother, stepfather, and sister Carolyn to the East Dallas section of Dallas, Texas, living at 10 addresses in poor neighborhoods over the next dozen years.
Oof.
Speck loathed his often drunk and frequently absent stepfather, who psychologically abused him with insults and threats. Speck, a poor student who needed glasses for reading but refused to wear them, struggled through Dallas public schools from 4th through 8th grade, repeating the 8th grade at J.L. Long Junior High School, in part because he refused to speak in class because of a lifelong fear of people staring at him. In autumn 1957, Speck started 9th grade at Crozer Technical High School, but failed every subject and did not return for the 2nd semester in January 1958, dropping out just after his 16th birthday. Speck started drinking alcohol at age 12, and by age 15, he was getting drunk almost every day.
Oh, no.
His first arrest in 1955 at age 13 for trespassing was followed by dozens of other arrests for misdemeanors over the next 8 years. Pause for ASMR wine pouring. Ooh, that's a good one. Delightful. Delightful. Speck met 15-year-old Shirley Annette Malone at the Texas State Fair. She became pregnant after
Who?
3 weeks of dating him.
What's her name?
Shirley Annette Malone.
Okay.
So she's 15.
Oh.
She got pregnant after 3 weeks. So she's 15 and pregnant.
Oh.
Shirley married Speck on January 19th, 1962, and initially moved in with him, his mother, sister Carolyn, and Carolyn's husband.
Ooh, it's a crowd.
Yeah, a little bit. Speck's mother and stepfather had separated, and his stepfather had moved to California. Speck stopped using the name Richard Benjamin Lindbergh when he got married and began using the name Richard Benjamin Speck.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
When their daughter, Robbie Lynn Speck, was born on July 5th, 1962, Malone did not know that Speck was serving a 22-day jail sentence for disturbing the peace in McKinney, Texas, after a drunken melee.
Oh.
So when his daughter was born, he was in jail. In July 1963, Speck was caught after he forged and cashed a coworker's $44 paycheck. In 1963, that's a lot.
Yeah.
He also robbed a grocery store, making away with cigarettes, beer, and $3 in cash. Whole $3.
Oh, boy.
The 21-year-old Speck was convicted of forgery and burglary and sentenced to 3 years in prison. He was paroled after serving 16 months from 1963 to 1965 in the Texas State Penitentiary in Huntsville, Texas. 1 week after his parole, on January 9th, 1965, Speck was wielding a 17-inch carving knife when he attacked a woman in the parking lot of her apartment building.
Oh, it sounds like my Citizen app notifications.
Hey, seriously.
Man wielding
Knife.
sharp knife.
Cool. He fled when the woman screamed. The police arrived within minutes and apprehended Speck a few blocks away. Speck was convicted of aggravated assault, given a 16-month sentence to run concurrently with the parole violation sentence, and returned to prison in Huntsville, but due to an error, he was released just 6 months later on completion of his parole violation sentence on July 2nd, 1965. So he's a really, really bad criminal. He always gets caught. Always.
Yeah, he's not good at...
Not good at criminaling.
No.
After his release from prison, Speck worked for 3 months as a driver for the Patterson Meat Company and had 6 accidents with his truck before he was fired for failing to show up for work.
He's also a klutz.
He's just not very good at anything.
No.
In December 1965, on the recommendation of his mother, Speck, who was by then separated from his wife, moved in with a 29-year-old divorced woman, an ex-professional wrestler, who was a bartender at his favorite bar, Ginny's Lounge, and needed someone to babysit her 3 children.
Oh.
So why not the felon? In January 1966, Malone filed for divorce. That same month, Speck stabbed a man in a knife fight at Ginny's Lounge. He was charged with aggravated assault, but a defense attorney hired by his mother was able to get the charge reduced to disturbing the peace.
Did the man survive the stabbing? Okay.
Speck was fined $10 and jailed for 3 days after he failed to pay the fine. He couldn't pay $10. This was the last time Speck was in police custody in Dallas.
Oh.
On March 5th, 1966, Speck bought a 12-year-old car. The following evening, he robbed a grocery store, stole 70 cartons of cigarettes, sold them out of the trunk of his car in the grocery store's parking lot, and then abandoned the car. The police traced the car to Speck and issued a warrant for his arrest for burglary on March 8th. Again, bad criminal. An arrest, his 42nd in Dallas,
oh my God,
would mean another prison term. So on March 9th, 1966, Speck's sister Carolyn, drove him to the Dallas bus depot where he took a bus to Chicago.
Hey, sweet Caroline.
It's Carolyn.
Ba, ba, ba.
It's definitely Carolyn. Speck stayed with his sister and various friends around his hometown of Monmouth, Illinois. Speck became angry when he learned his ex-wife had remarried 2 days after she was granted a divorce on March 16th, 1966.
Savage.
She was ready. He moved to the Christie Hotel in downtown Monmouth on March 25th and spent most of his time in the downtown taverns. At the end of March, while Speck and some acquaintances were on a bar-hopping trip to Gulfport, Illinois, they were detained overnight by police there after Speck reportedly threatened a man in a tavern restroom with his knife. Again, a bad criminal.
Who gave him a knife?
He keeps finding them. They just lay them around willy-nilly at these restaurants.
No more knives for you, Mr. Speck.
On April 3rd, Mrs. Virgil Harris, a 65-year-old resident of Monmouth, returned home at 1 a.m. to find a burglar in her house brandishing a knife.
Oh.
He was a 6-foot-tall white man who was very polite and spoke very softly with a southern drawl. The man blindfolded her, tied her up, raped her, ransacked her house, and stole the $2.50 she had earned babysitting that evening. A week later, Mary Catherine Pierce, a 32-year-old barmaid who worked at her brother-in-law's tavern, Frank's Place, in downtown Monmouth, was last seen leaving the tavern at 12:20 p.m. on April 9th. She was reported missing on April 13th, and her body was found that day in an empty hog house behind the tavern. She had died from a blow to her abdomen that ruptured her liver.
Oh, jeez.
Speck had frequented Frank's Place, and the empty hog house was one of several he had helped build in the preceding month. So Monmouth police briefly questioned him about Pierce's death when he showed up to collect his final carpentry paycheck on April 15th and asked him to stay in town for further questioning. When police showed up at the Christie Hotel on April 19th to continue questioning Speck, they discovered he had left the hotel a few hours earlier, carrying his suitcases and saying he was going to the laundromat. He had instead left town.
Yeah.
A search of his room turned up a radio and costume jewelry Mrs. Virgil Harris had reported missing from her house, as well as items reported missing in 2 other local burglaries in the past month. So, not entirely confirmed that he was the one who killed Mary Catherine Pierce.
Right, but probably.
Considering
he fled.
On April 19th, 1966, Speck returned to stay at his sister Martha's home in the Old Irving Park neighborhood on the northwest side of Chicago, where she lived with her husband, Gene Thornton, and their 2 teenage daughters. Speck told them an unbelievable story about having to leave Monmouth after refusing to sell narcotics for a crime lord there. Gene Thornton, who had served in the U.S. Navy, thought that the U.S. Merchant Marine might provide a suitable occupation for his unemployed brother-in-law. So on April 25th, he took Speck to the U.S. Coast Guard office to apply for a letter of authority to work as an apprentice seaman.
Seaman.
Had
to, sorry.
RE12.
Yes.
The application required being fingerprinted and photographed and having a physical examination by a doctor. Speck found work immediately after obtaining the letter of authority, joining the 33-member crew of Inland Steel's Clarence B. Randall on April 30th. Speck's first voyage on the Clarence B. Randall was brief since he was stricken with appendicitis on May 3rd. Stricken with it. And was evacuated by U.S. Coast Guard helicopter to St. Joseph's Hospital in Hancock, Michigan, where he had an emergency appendectomy. Can't even have a job. Bad criminal, can't even have a job.
Can we try that again?
Appendectomy.
Okay.
Did I say it wrong?
You were like, appendectomy. Is the wine catching up?
A little bit. I'm tired. My brain's not working. I told you. It's been stopping in sentences. I didn't even... Whatever.
Carry on.
After he was discharged from the hospital, Speck returned to stay with his sister Martha and her family in Chicago to recoup. On May 20th, he rejoined the crew of the Clarence B. Randall, in which he served until June 14th, when he got drunk and quarreled.
That's a great word.
With one of the boat's officers and was put ashore on June 15th. We're getting there. On June 30th, Speck's brother-in-law Gene drove him to the National Maritime Union hiring hall in the Jeffrey Manor neighborhood of South Deering, Chicago. Haven't heard of any of these places.
No.
Lived in Chicago my whole life. To file his paperwork for a seaman's card.
Seaman.
The NMU, that would be the National Maritime Union, hiring hall was 1 block east of 5 attached 2-story brick townhouses, 3 of which were occupied by South Chicago Community Hospital senior student nurses and Filipino exchange registered nurses. This is important information.
Okay.
8 of these nurses lived in the easternmost townhouse at 2319 East 100th Street, just 100 feet from the NMU hiring hall. On Friday, June 8th, 1966, Speck's brother-in-law Gene drove him to the NMU hiring hall to pick up his seaman's card.
I have one of those.
No, you don't. And register for a berth on his ship. I don't have one. How do you get one?
Tell you later.
Okay. Speck lost out that day to a seaman with more seniority for a berth on the SS Flying... I'm not mature enough for this. On the SS Flying Spray. Flying Spray? A seaman on the Flying Spray?
I don't like Flying Spray being a seaman.
Sorry, Mom. And returned to his sister Martha's apartment for the weekend. Just seaman jokes is what's happening.
Oh, God. We are 12-year-old boys.
Yep. On Monday, July 11th, Speck had outstayed his welcome with his sister Martha and her family after packing his bags and again being driven by his brother-in-law to the NMU hiring hall to await a berth on a ship. Thursday, July 12th, Speck returned to the NMU hiring hall. In mid-afternoon, he received an assignment on Sinclair Oil's tanker, SS Sinclair Great Lakes, which was a 30-minute drive away in East Chicago, Indiana. When he arrived there, he found that his spot had already been taken, and he was driven back to the NMU hiring hall, which was then closed. Speck did not have enough money for a rooming house, so he dropped his bags off 6 blocks east at the Manor Shell filling station and slept in an unfinished house just off East 103rd Street.
Okay.
On Wednesday, July 13th, Speck picked up his bags and checked in at the NMU hiring hall. He was angry for being sent to a non-existent assignment, and he talked for 30 minutes in the car with his sister Martha and her husband Gene, who had driven down to visit him. They parked on East 100th Street next to Luella's elementary school across the street from the townhouse where the nurses lived. At 10:30 a.m., he was tired of waiting at the NMU hiring hall for a job. Speck had $25 that his sister had given him, and he left and walked about 1.5 miles east on East 100th Street to check in at the Shipyard Inn. Speck spent the rest of the day drinking in nearby taverns before he accosted Ella Mae Hopper. It's Hopper. He accosted Ella Mae Hopper at knife point. She was a 53-year-old woman who had spent the day drinking at the same taverns that Speck had been at. Speck took her to his room at the Shipyard Inn, raped her, and stole her black $16 mail-order .22 caliber pistol.
Oh.
After dinner at the nearby Kay's Pilot House, Speck returned to drink at the Shipyard Inn's tavern until 10:20 p.m. When he left, dressed entirely in black, armed with a switchblade and Ella Mae Hopper's handgun, and walked about 1.5 miles west on East 100th Street to the nurse's townhouse at 2319 East 100th Street. At 11 p.m. on July 13th, 1966, after drinking whiskey all day and shooting up heroin for the first time in his life, Speck broke into the townhouse, muscling his way past the Philippines-born nurse Corazon Amuro, who'd answered the door when he knocked. Holding the 7 women he encountered at knife point, he tore a bedsheet into strips and bound them one by one. Speck later claimed that he only intended to rob the women, but became enraged after one defiant nurse spit in his face and said she'd be able to identify him in a police lineup. After marching one bound nurse into another room, Speck was startled at the arrival of 2 additional nurses. He went berserk, stabbing and strangling the 3 women to death.
Oh, God.
Over the next 4 hours, one at a time, he would come into the room, separate the remaining nurses one by one, and took them into a different room, where he tortured, raped, and killed them by either stabbing or strangling. He washed the blood from his hands after each murder.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He anally raped his final victim, Gloria Davy, with a foreign object before killing her.
Why?
He left 8 dead victims and a crime scene covered in his fingerprints. What he failed to realize was that Corazon Amuro, the nurse who'd originally answered the door for him, had managed to wriggle under a bed and hide.
Oh.
She stayed hidden for hours after Speck left.
Hon.
She was discovered when she started screaming loudly. Having nearly no money and terrified to leave town on public transportation where police would be on high alert looking for him, Speck spent the next few days drinking heavily and consorting with sex workers. The night after the mass murder, he jokingly pretended to slit a bartender's throat because that's hilarious.
Wow, what a funny guy.
Yeah, really funny. A birthday, July 16th, after news hit the papers that Corazon Amuro, had positively identified Speck to police. He attempted suicide at his Chicago rooming house. Speck was rushed to the hospital, where a doctor called police after identifying him from his Born to Raise Hell tattoo.
God. What a dork.
Yep, not good at criminal.
No.
In 1967, Speck was tried and convicted of all 8 murders. Not only was the fingerprint evidence conclusive, he was sunk by the dramatic testimony of Amuro. When the prosecutor asked her if she could identify the killer, this badass, she got up from her witness seat, walked right in front of Speck, and nearly touching him with her fingers said, "This is the man."
I want to be her when I grow up.
Right. So I want to take a moment to give respects to the victims. We have Nina Jo Schmale, with her name first pronounced Nina, her first name is pronounced Nina, not Nina. Schmale was a cat-loving Elvis Presley fan, described as a good student, well-liked, quiet, but with a sense of humor. Patricia Ann Matusek, born to working-class immigrant parents on Chicago's far south side, Matusek was described as sweet, assertive, funny, and full of life. Pamela Lee Wilkening, only days before her murder, Pamela called her mother to tell her she was too busy to come home and visit that weekend. It was the last her mother would ever hear from her. Mary Ann Jordan, friends described her as having a wicked sense of Irish humor. Suzanne Bridget Ferris, described as pretty, perky, and popular. Suzanne's father lovingly called her kooky and reportedly kept moaning kooky, kooky, kooky after being informed of her death. Valentina Pazion, I don't know, one of 3 Filipina exchange students living in the dorm that Speck had terrorized. Valentina had only arrived in the USA 2 months earlier, where she described Chicago's weather as horrible, amen, sister, and the hospital patients to be as large as water buffalo.
Oh.
Sorry. Marlita, she sounds like a peach. Marlita Garguya, another Filipino. Marlita had been described as quiet, shy, hardworking, efficient, pretty, and blessed with a rich singing voice. Gloria Jean Davy, Speck's final murder victim and the only one of the octet that he raped. Davy was remembered as Riven. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I thought he raped all of them. The last one is the only one he did. She was remembered as Riven, independent, intelligent, headstrong, poised, creative, and snippy when she didn't like what you were doing. Amen, Gloria Davy.
Yes.
Speck, who claimed to hate attention and reporters, only granted one interview in 1978 to Chicago Tribune columnist Bob Greene.
Oh.
It marked the first time he publicly confessed to the crimes. He also claimed to have an, quote, effeminate homosexual accomplice with him at the time, who committed one of the murders and whom Speck later shot dead, but police say all the evidence proves that's impossible.
Okay.
This is a quote directly from Speck. Quote, I had no feelings at all that night. They say there was blood all over the place. I can't remember. It felt like nothing. Good. Although Speck received the death penalty, the U.S. Supreme Court overturned capital punishment in 1972. He was resentenced with 150 years for each murder to be run consecutively,
Good.
A 1,200-year sentence. He settled into prison life by transitioning into a female, receiving hormone injections and jailhouse breast implants that are clearly visible in a 1988 undercover prison video that was leaked to the public in 1996, 5 years after Speck died of a heart attack 1 day shy of his 50th birthday. They're not sure if this was if he genuinely identified as a female, or if he did this to make himself desirable to the prisoners so that they wouldn't kill him.
Oh my God.
Because he was a high-profile mass murderer, and they tend to have targets on their back with fellow prisoners.
Yeah.
So they're not sure if he did that or what, but he basically made himself a sex toy for the other prisoners and regularly offered himself as a sexual partner to his cellmates. And again, psychologists have studied this. They think, maybe he did this as penance because he wanted to be treated the way he thought women were to be treated, which is just as sexual objects to be abused. There's a whole lot of different ways that people have kind of dissected this part of Speck's life, but regardless, who's to say if he was actually identifying as a woman, and back then the mental hell of that just... I don't want to say drove him to this, but I don't really know.
Yeah, that wouldn't even...
It doesn't even make sense.
No. So,
he showed no signs of somebody who was identifying as a female.
No, he just so sucked.
When asked why he did it, his answer was cold and flat. Quote, it just wasn't their night. End quote.
That's great. What a guy, gal, person.
Gal, we don't know.
What a person.
Sources were obviously Wikipedia and a thought catalog article called 8 Dead Nurses in One Night, The Horrible Story of Richard Speck. We are not trying to be disrespectful to the trans community. I feel like he was being disrespectful to the trans community and hiding behind them. And using them as a way to keep himself alive.
Yeah, that's fair.
But if you are actually identifying as something that you are not, as different from the body you were born into, we fully support and love you. So please don't take that as a judgment. We're just judging Richard Speck. Not for possibly being trans.
For being a murderer.
For being a horrible murderer.
Yeah.
I want to know what prison breast implants are. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, how do you do that?
What does that mean?
How do you get those?
Is it balloons filled with Jell-O? And then what? And then what do they do? I don't want to know.
I don't know.
I didn't watch the video.
That's good.
You can see it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll put it on the Patreon.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it because I just didn't want to look at them.
No, I don't blame you.
No.
I never heard that story.
Never heard of Richard Speck and the bunch of nurses he killed.
Never have I ever.
I've heard that story a few times. Every time I've heard it, it gets worse and worse. I didn't want to tell it as bad as it was. I wanted to keep it pretty simple because healthcare workers should be paid respect to.
Not murdered?
Not murdered.
Yeah, you don't say.
No, not 8 young nurses. But yeah, I don't know. My mom remembered it.
Oh, God.
She was a kid.
Yeah, when that happened.
But she remembered it being on the news and being in the newspapers and her parents talking about it. And yeah.
She was like, you should tell this great story that I heard.
But yeah, I know. It stood out to me. I wanted to tell it. I wasn't sure if I wanted to tell it and if I pulled serial killers or true crime. But he's not technically a serial killer. He's a mass murderer.
Right.
It's different.
Fair enough.
Serial killers is more than 3 on different nights.
Right.
Mass murders one day.
Just seeking to kill.
So, yeah.
He might be a serial killer. We don't know.
We don't know.
Because there was some presumed.
There was some presumed. We don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, he's a horrible person. I didn't like one article that I read because they just like repeatedly referred to he was very like acne scarred.
Mm.
And basically anytime they brought him up, they were like, what's a new way we can describe his acne scarred skin, like pockmarked, hideous, all this stuff. And I was like, okay, I get it. He's a really bad person. He's probably pretty freaking ugly. I get it. But like other normal people, nice people suffer with this skin condition.
So maybe don't.
So maybe don't do this. Like that's not what made them horrible.
No, that's not necessary.
You can talk about them being grotesque from what they did, not how they looked.
Yeah. Or how you define grotesque.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Person who wrote that terrible article.
Yeah. So no source for you.
No source for you.
No source
you
for
don't
you.
even get a credit. Oh, gosh.
Richard Speck.
Richard Speck. I am very excited to tell you about my lore story.
I'm excited to hear it. Pause for ASMR
Yes.
wine pouring part 2.
Woo!
You know what the rest says?
Sure. I will not say no ever. Yay!
Yay!
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I heard this story originally on another podcast, and it really scared the daylights out of me when I heard it.
What podcast? And That's Why We Drink?
It was on And That's Why We Drink.
She loves And That's Why We Drink.
Yeah, I do really like them. They're really great. I want to be friends with them. Maybe we can have them on the show someday.
I think it might be reversed.
I'm going to
Maybe we
manifest that.
Yeah.
So
All right.
we are traveling the stratosphere to a land
Ooh,
called
Ooh.
Abilene, Texas,
Oh.
where I will read you a personal story.
I just was expecting. I
We're
was
going
not
far.
expecting that. You're like traveling the stratosphere. I was
Yeah.
like, it's gonna be like Narnia. And
We're
you're
going.
like, here we are in Texas.
We're going to Texas.
She's
We're
this
back
is
in
the-
Texas.
This is the bus all over again.
This is a Texas theme. You know what? You're in our thoughts. We don't
Yeah,
pray,
Texas.
but if we did pray, you would be in our prayers. We're thinking of you out there. Stay warm.
Absolutely.
Stay healthy.
Protect Texas.
Yes.
Fuck Ted Cruz.
Yeah, fuck Ted Cruz.
Who? Fuck Ted Cruz.
I don't like saying his name.
No.
I just don't like giving him any attention.
No.
Because he's a loser.
He is a loser.
Anyway, we're going to his land, unfortunately, to Abilene, Texas, where I will read you a personal story.
Personal. It's yours?
Not my personal story.
Okay.
It's a personal story written by a journalist
Okay.
named Brian Bethel
Hey.
of his terrifying encounter.
Okay.
Near as I can figure, then this is all quoted. I'll tell you when I'm done.
Okay.
Near as I can figure, this
Oh.
happened in 1996. And let me just say that this is all quoted, but I did shorten it a little bit because there's some details that were unnecessary.
I started pouring the wine before it got to my mouth.
It's all over your face.
All
Save some for later.
right. Sorry. Okay.
So, yeah, so this isn't exactly quote,
Got
but
it.
it's pretty darn close.
Paraphrased.
Yes. Near as I can figure, this happened in 1996. I've managed to pin down the date that far. I feel like it happened in the spring or summer, since I remember wearing a pair of shorts, but one of my great regrets is not recording the actual date of the event. I had gone down to the former site of Camelot Communications, one of the area's original internet providers, to pay my bill. At the time, Camelot was located near the movie theater in the shadow of what is now Chase.
Wait, oh my God. You used to have to go physically to the place to pay your internet bill? Wow.
I was using the light of the theater's marquee to write out my check, so I never heard them approach.
Them? Mm-hmm. Okay.
There was a rap on my driver's side window.
Like a yo yiggity yo rap?
Like a...
Oh, okay. Oh, got it.
2 young boys, somewhere between 9 to 12 years old, and dressed in hoodies with their hoods up, stood outside. I cracked the window a little bit.
No, I know what this is.
Yes.
Okay. God, I hate these. Okay.
I cracked the window a little bit, anticipating a spiel for money, but I was immediately gripped by an incomprehensible, soul-racking fear.
Yeah.
A conversation ensued between one boy, a somewhat suave, olive-skinned, curly-headed young man, and myself. The other, a red-headed, pale-skinned, freckled young man, stayed in the background. The spokesman, as I've come to think of him, told me that he and his companion needed a ride. They wanted to see a movie, Mortal Kombat, but they had left their money at their mother's house. Could I give them a ride to her house? Plausible enough, but...
Man, did you see Mortal Kombat?
No.
Oh, that was a good one. All right. Keep going.
Plausible enough, but all throughout this exchange, the irrational fear continued and grew. I had no reason to be frightened of these 2 boys, but I was, terribly. After a bit more conversation, I looked up at the theater marquee and down at the digital clock display in my car. Mortal Kombat's last show of the night had already started. By the time I could have driven the boys anywhere and back, it would practically have been over. All the while, the spokesman uttered assurances.
He calls him a spokesman.
Yeah, because he was the only one talking. The other kid wasn't talking. It wouldn't take long. They were just 2 little kids. They didn't have a gun or anything.
Oh, comforting.
The last part was a bit unnerving. I noticed that my hand had strayed toward the lock on my door. I pulled it away, perhaps a bit too violently. In the short time I had broken the gaze of the spokesman, something had changed, and my mind exploded in a vortex of all-consuming terror. Both boys stared at me with coal-black eyes.
Yep.
The sort of eyes one sees these days on aliens or bargain basement vampires on late-night television. Soulless orbs like 2 great swaths of starless night.
Where's Buffy?
I did what I feel any rational person would do. I full-on freaked out inside, while trying to appear completely sane and calm.
He kept it on the inside. It's fine.
I apologized to the kids. I made whatever excuses came to mind, all of them designed to get me the hell out of there. Fast. The aura of fear was now a palpable, black hanging thing, almost as if reality itself was warping around me. I wrapped my hand around the gear shift, threw the car into reverse, and began to roll up the window, apologizing all the while. My fear must... Sorry. Right, I can picture this. My fear must have been evident. The boy in the back wore a look of confusion. The spokesman banged sharply on the window as I rolled it up. His words, full of anger, echo in my mind even today. "We can't come in unless you tell us it's okay. Let us in."
No.
I drove out of the parking lot in blind fear, and I'm surprised I didn't sideswipe a car or 2 along the way. I stole a quick look in my rearview mirror before peeling out into the night. The boys were gone. Even if they had run, I don't believe there was any place they could have hidden from view that quickly. Yeah, you guessed it. We're talking about the black-eyed kids.
I hate the black-eyed kids!
Also known as the black-eyed children.
And this was not the black-eyed peas before they became the black-eyed peas. Black-eyed kids. It's not like the prequel. This is a bad joke.
This is one of my favorite.
Black-eyed, they freak me out.
Yes. Oh, just wait. They're mysterious beings that look like kids between the ages of 6 to 16 years old.
No kids!
Yes. They only appear at night and to unsuspecting adults alone in parking lots or in their homes.
No!
The kids come in groups of 2 or more and often ask for favors. The favor could be to make a phone call, get a ride home, to come in, get something to eat, or use the bathroom.
I hate this.
The few people who have had
bad time.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have bad dreams. I did the first time I heard about this.
I'm having a bad time.
The few people who have had interactions with the black-eyed kids express feeling unexplainable terror when the children are near.
I'm sorry. Every time you see the black-eyed kids,
You think of the black-eyed peas?
the black-eyed peas. Gotta get that. Gotta get that.
Can you imagine if they came to the car?
Gotta get that boom, boom, pow.
Boom, boom. Oh, what a bop. What a bop. Oh, Black Eyed Peas are good, though.
My humps, my lovely lady lumps.
Isn't that just Fergie?
Check it out.
Or is that Black Eyed Peas?
No, it's my hump. My humps is Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, I just thought it was Fergie. Maybe you're right. I don't know.
Do it on the daily. I do
Remember
it very
when-
nicely.
Remember when Alanis
Trying to ice me. Yes, I
Covered
put
it?
it. I'm a troll.
Mm.
And when I make playlists for work, I sneak some weird ass ones on there.
Oh.
Like I have a really like chill version of Baby Got Back.
Of course you do.
Yeah, I do. And so when I was working at a bridal salon and I made my playlist, I threw the Lannis's My Humps on there.
Oh, so good. It's so good, though.
Trin always caught it. My boss, she always caught it. And she was like, "You're weird. I don't know what I'm going to do with you." But she didn't make me take it off. So
No, yeah. Of course not.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a pub in Staffordshire, England, which, according to multiple media reports, is haunted by various spirits.
Spirits.
Various spirits.
Various spirits.
God, I can't speak. Various spirits, including a black-eyed little girl. The pub is near Cannock
What?
Chase, which is among the UK's most haunted places. Mind you, this is outside of Cheshire, the homeland.
Shisha?
The homeland of
Harold Styles?
our Lord and Savior. Yes,
And Matthew Healy, who we don't acknowledge.
he's cool, I guess.
He's all right.
And last year, local paranormal researcher Lee Brickley reported the return of black-eyed children to the area.
They're back. Gotta get that.
On his website, he relays a sighting from a local woman. My daughter and I were walking through Birches Valley when we heard the screams of a young child. We instantly started running towards the noise. We couldn't find the child anywhere and stopped to catch our breaths. That's when I turned around and saw a girl stood behind me, no more than 10 years old, with her hands over her eyes.
No, if I heard a screaming child, I'd be like, "Screw that child," and I'd run
That's
the
a
other way.
black-eyed kid. I gotta go.
No, screw the child. Black-eyed kid. No.
I asked if she was okay and if she had been the one screaming. She then put her arms down by her side and opened her eyes, which is when I saw they were completely black, no iris, no white, nothing.
Hate this.
I jumped back and grabbed my daughter. When I looked again, the child was gone.
I hate this part right here.
Brickley was then approached by a second witness after the first sighting hit the headlines. The man told him, "After reading reports in the media today, I felt the need to get in touch with you about my own experience on Connaught Chase."
What is this? Is this lore? Is this paranormal? Like, what is this?
It's a little
Is
bit
it
of everything.
cryptid?
It's a little
What
bit of it all.
artists? What
What artists?
What artists?
I believe I have seen the black-eyed child on more than one occasion over the last 12 months. The man explained how he often walks his dog in the haunted countryside area of Connaught Chase. Yet during one of his usual late-night walks, he revealed how he came face-to-face with the jet black-eyed, creepy child. He said, "I was following my usual route when I started to hear something rustling in the bushes. Presuming it was a squirrel or something similar, I carried on walking for around another 10 minutes."
Was that a firework? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Sounded like a firework.
Lucy, why are you so handsome?
Focus.
Anyway.
Black-eyed kids.
Sorry. So, however, the noise seemed to follow me. After walking down a small path with trees either side, the noise started to come from a different direction. It seemed to be directly behind me. To my amazement, standing behind me was a small child, no older than 10, with her hands raised over her eyes. The man explained that his dog started barking frantically as he asked the little girl if she was okay. But the child didn't respond, and despite feeling a little disturbed, he carried on walking. Suddenly, the child Suddenly, the child appeared again in front of me, this time with her hands down at her sides. I almost fell over when I noticed her eyes were jet black. Again, my dog went mental this time, pulling me in the opposite direction. In the blink of an eye, the child was gone.
I hate these children.
Can you tell that these people are British?
Yeah.
I was stood.
I know, I was stood.
My dog went mental.
Absolutely mental.
All right, so I've got some more encounters.
No!
From some of our friends on Reddit. So user SarahBeth11 says she was sitting alone in her family room when there was a light knock on the front door. 2 young children were outside, a girl who looked about 11 and a boy who was roughly 9. The girl very politely spoke up. Ma'am, can we please come inside and use your phone to call our mom?
No!
As she spoke, something in the pit of my stomach was telling me something was wrong, Sarah says. After a short exchange, the girl moved towards the door. She stepped into the light coming from inside the house, and I got my first real good look at her.
Step into the light.
Shine!
Shine bright sometime.
Shine! Solid, jet black eyes. That's all I could see. That motherly instinct was gone and replaced by terror I don't think I've ever felt in my life. I could feel every hair on my arms and back of my neck standing at attention. I closed the door to where just my face was able to stick out. The little girl stopped and again pleaded. Please, ma'am, we're really scared and alone out here. We have to come inside. Please help us. Then, like on cue, both kids began to whimper and cry.
No.
And she slammed the door in their face. No, thank you. Goodbye.
Good.
Another Reddit
She said,
story.
F them kids.
She did. F them black-eyed kids. Another Reddit user, No Sleep 2012.
No sleep. Just go.
It's a good Reddit name for this story. Also claims to have encountered black-eyed children on her doorstep. She had a voice that was mature, confident, strong, and accentless. She held her head tilted downward, and I couldn't see her eyes. She said, "We have to use your phone." I stood frozen in fear. Slowly and silently, I backed away from the door. Lucy, my dog, still cowering at my ankles, she became commanding, almost hostile. "We're not going to hurt you. If we wanted to do that, we would have broken in. I'll ask again. May we come in and use your phone?"
Again, we're not going to hurt you. It's not like we have a gun.
Right?
It's not like we broke in.
Yeah.
No, I don't like it.
Lucy snarled at the door, and I inched backwards, though something inside me seemed to be slowly pulling me back toward the door. It wasn't a physical pulling so much as a subconscious need to go back and let them in. The Reddit user says she didn't go back to sleep that night and hasn't slept right since.
No.
All right, another Reddit user, Big Taco 123.
Oh, is it an actual big taco? Was the taco referencing something else?
You know, I don't know the answer to that.
I don't like it. Whatever it is, I don't like it. I don't
Well, anyway.
like any big tacos.
Anyway, they stated on March 17th, 2008, when they were 12 years old, they were sitting outside of the hairdresser in an old Chevy pickup, waiting for their mom to get their hair cut. About 15 minutes had passed, and some kid was walking back and forth along the sidewalk in front of the parked car. At first, this kid thought it was one of their friends from school and started banging on the front windshield until the boy looked their way. It wasn't anyone they knew. The boy walked to the side of the car and just stared.
Normal.
Pupils black as the night sky. The boy whispers, "You must let me in." And then the kid in the car locks the car doors and ducks down into the space below the seats.
Smart kid.
5 minutes later, the boy is gone. And then finally, the mother gets back into the car and says, a boy with black eyes came into the salon and insisted that she give him the keys to the car.
What do they want? Are there stories of black-eyed kids who actually got into the places they're trying to get into, and we haven't heard these stories because those people are dead?
Correct.
No! Oh!
Well, I'll tell you one later when I'm almost done.
Okay.
All right, so the last Reddit story. So I'm walking up my flight of steps to get to my apartment, and I hear these kids laughing. And then I heard whispering. It was kind of late, so I thought, this was weird. But I ignored it and walked into my apartment. I live on the 3rd floor. I was getting ready to open my balcony door. It was really muggy in my apartment. I walk over to the door and pull my blinds, and 2 kids, pardon my French, are fucking staring back at me.
F them kids!
Yes, we're on the 3rd floor.
No! Why would you say that? I have to go to sleep and I have a balcony.
Don't let them in.
What is wrong with you on a fundamental level?
I screamed and backed away, smashing my leg into the table.
You're sleeping with me tonight.
They were both in blue jeans, and the oldest...
Not blue jeans!
He was taller. He had on a green shirt with white stripes, and the younger had on a button-up, light blue shirt. The oldest one touched the sliding door. "Hey, miss, can you let us in?" The younger one just kept looking around. I still just stared at them. I finally was able to say, "How'd you get on my balcony?" I walked to the door and noticed how excited the older one got. He moved closer to the entrance. "Can you let us in?" I wasn't thinking. I unlocked the door, and when I looked up, their eyes were black. The entire eye.
Dun.
I like the way this girl writes this.
Like, guys. Hold on.
I quickly locked the door and told them I had to call the police because my door was jammed and I couldn't unlock the door. So I called the police. The oldest boy pleaded with me the entire time to let them in. The police arrived about an hour later. They came in and walked to the balcony. When they opened my balcony door, nothing was there. They looked down and saw 2 children running in the parking lot away from the building. The police took a report and they said they had to have had help getting up there and that they would question the neighbors. No one really knows where they come from. Extraterrestrial, UFOs, vampires, and of course demons are a number of assumptions around the kids.
Vampires isn't interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because they keep being asked to
Be let in.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Which is kind of a
What
common...
if vampires are actually just children?
Yikes.
That makes them scarier than being just hot men with floofy hair.
Hot men.
Who say things like, hold on tight, spider monkey.
Our paranormal investigator friend, Lee Brickley, has some theories. He told the Birmingham Mail that people who spot the ghouls could be hallucinating, possibly because of a chemical leak.
What? A chemical leak is causing all these people?
Could be. He said there are 2 theories. The black-eyed child is linked to the, sorry if I pronounce this wrong, Cornovi, a Celtic tribe known for their blood sacrifices.
Oh, you're probably definitely saying that wrong if it's Celtic.
Yeah, so there's no way I wouldn't even, I don't think my mouth could even do that.
No.
But anyway, you guys know what's up.
Yep.
The other is that we are dealing with some kind of mass hallucination. Some substances, just like, woof. Okay, my mouth hurts from talking so much.
Yeah.
Some substances has made people see this apparition. There were all kinds of weird, covert military stuff going on here around the years. There still is. Could something left behind have caused all of these sightings? Brickley later stated that the chemical leak theory wasn't actually his and is something made up by Birmingham Mail. Maybe a cover-up. Another theory that comes from the book Your Haunted Lives, The Black-Eyed Kids.
No, Your Haunted Lives.
States the kids may be something called
Kind of
Otcon.
funny today. Sorry.
It could be something called
What?
Otcon.
Otcon.
Which is an ancient Iroquois legend.
Oh.
The Iroquois believed in a dark power called the Otcon that could take over children and an evil one who would mate with human females to produce a black-eyed, chalky-skinned child.
Not chalky-skinned.
These children were killed by the tribe soon after birth and burned to stop them from resurrecting. Yeah.
I don't like this. I don't like it.
Children wandering alone in the woods would also be taken over by Otcon and would reemerge with black eyes and pale skin, acting nervously while repeating themselves over and over and over. Repeating to themselves. I don't know what they're repeating to themselves.
Let me in? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe let me in. It doesn't say.
This is reminding me of that movie, Let the Right One In.
Yeah. Their goal was to destroy the tribe and infect all of the people with Otcon. So there was something that I read because I was curious about the thing that you just said, which is, has anybody actually ever let them in?
Right.
Or given in?
Right.
And there was somebody, I think it was on Reddit too, that said that they let them in and they felt like their insides were being ripped out of them. They were in so much excruciating pain, and then their girlfriend came in and saw like what was going on and was like, hey kids, get the out of here, you know, like.
They disinvited them?
Yeah, and then the kids left and then
Weird.
it stopped.
Weird.
Another person said that their friend kept telling them like there's these weird kids that are like lingering around my house, like really creepy looking. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And then that person went missing and all of their belongings were gone. And she was like, I never found my friend. Can somebody help me find my friend?
Never?
No.
Oh, I don't like that. No trick-or-treating in my house.
Yeah, and some of these events happened on Halloween.
I just like that. What?
Yes.
No.
There was like one story. I didn't put them all in here because there's so many. That's what's freaky. But there was like one story where some kids were standing in someone's backyard. But do you remember when I like first heard this story? I kind of told you about it, and I was like really freaked out, and I didn't want to. I didn't like looking at our balcony at night.
Yeah.
Because of the story.
Cool.
It really freaked me
The
out.
thing that scares me about balconies and windows at night is because it's reflected back at you, so you don't really see what's on the other side of the glass until you turn the lights off. That's a fun little thing about glass.
Yeah, that's a good...
I don't really see what's on our balcony. I can tell there's a chair there, but I don't really see beyond that.
There's no black-eyed kids there.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Or you just say that?
No, I'm positive. I don't see any black-eyed kids.
Maybe you should look closer.
Don't scare me. Okay, I have a lot of resources.
Okay.
Brian Bethel's report of his encounter for Abilene Reporter News. A Rare.com article called The Haunting Legend Behind the Black-Eyed Children by Moria Gill. News.com article called Black-Eyed Children, Real or Just a Creepy Myth by Sam Clench.
Creepy myth!
Creepy myth. Daily Edge article, which is a news site from Ireland, called The Actual Story Behind the Black-Eyed Children by Michael Freeman. A BuzzFeed article called Everything You Need to Know About Black-Eyed Ghost Children by Patrick Smith. And the most of the examples that I got from Reddit were actually from a thought catalog article by Christine Stockton, which was like 16 experiences, real life experiences with black-eyed children.
Consensus.
Yes.
I don't like them.
I don't like them either.
I would like to murder them.
Wow, that's intense. They probably want to murder you.
I'm going to do it first, so meh.
Creepy, right?
I don't like them.
No.
No, thank you.
So, yeah. Tell me something wonderful.
How have they not made a movie about these little creepy?
They made a really, really bad horror film about them that I did not watch.
Of course they made a bad horror film about them. Something wonderful.
Yeah, tell me something wonderful.
Well, my sister-in-law is going to be here on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's pretty wonderful. She's never been here ever. And I haven't really gotten alone time with her.
Ever.
Well, no, we used to. We used to go out all the time. We'd have sister nights.
Yeah.
But it's been many, many years. So it'll be nice to get some one-on-one time for a week.
Yeah.
And you'll get to meet her.
Yeah.
Via podcast.
Yeah, she's going to be our next guest. Surprise.
Exactly. So once again, for all of you haterades out there, my sister lives in the middle of nowhere in Michigan. She's going to be going to work, but has not been working. So she's been at home. Mm-hmm. She is a homeschool teacher for my 12-year-old niece, and she doesn't see people. She doesn't leave.
Right.
So she's safe.
Yeah, but she'll be our next guest.
She will be doing a tarot card reading for me and Tanya. Tanya's first tarot card reading. Kind of my first tarot card reading. Our friend Ree did my cards transatlantically.
Oh, interesting.
Is that the Atlantic Ocean? It's not the Atlantic Ocean. It's the Pacific Ocean, isn't it? What's between us and Australia?
Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, Pacific. So trans-pacifically. I knew I was wrong. That transatlantic was wrong. Yes. So okay. She did it that way, but I've never actually had them read in front of me. Right. So that'll be a fun experience.
Yeah.
She's learning. She's new. So she might have to look at some cheat sheets to figure out what's going on. But it'll be interesting. And we'll talk about, we'll ask her about her experiences at the Demon House with my brother.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun episode. So tune in next week for that.
Yeah, but we'll still pick a topic. And that's what you can expect to hear.
Yeah, but before that, I have to tell you something wonderful.
Oh, yeah, you're wonderful. Sorry.
Yeah, you took my wonderful
I took her wonderful right away. What's your wonderful, friend? You can tell me all your wonderfuls.
Well,
look at me.
I mean...
Tell me you're wonderful.
I mean, my wonderful...
You're wonderful.
You know my wonderful that happened to me today, which was I received a check.
Oh, yeah, she received some money.
I received a nice settlement check for something I didn't have to do anything to receive.
For, exactly.
It was just a show that I worked on that I'm not going to say the name of, but there was a settlement involved, and...
she got some money. Somebody sued them on behalf of everyone.
Yeah, and then I got money, and it was pretty great. It was a really nice surprise.
Do you want to kiss that person on his mouth? On his cheek?
I think I would kiss him on his hand.
On his hand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for
I feel like the check amount that you got maybe is worth more than a hand kiss, but okay.
So thank you, kind sir, for putting in the effort to defend yourself and defend the whole honor of the crew.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, the thing that he sued them for really didn't bother me when it happened.
Yeah, really it was an annoyance.
It was like a holiday pay issue.
Yeah, right. That would not have been worth what you got paid.
Not at all.
So blessings bestowed.
So it was,
thank you, sir.
It ended up being, it's not really like, don't worry, there was no trauma at my workplace.
No.
It was like a pay discrepancy. But yeah, I was really pumped. I received that today. So money, just in
Dope.
time for me to be unemployed soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I also found out today that my brother's going to come stay with us for 10 days.
Yeah, that'll be fun in April.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I don't think I've spent more than 4 days in a row with my brother for maybe the last decade, maybe more than that. So it's long overdue. He's never been to visit me. He's going to set the record straight because apparently we got a whole lot wrong in my episode with my mom.
This is wrong.
So with that, we might have a double episode. We might even have a video episode. So jump on that Patreon.
Yeah, jump on that.
If we do a video episode, I think this is a fair thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a Patreon member, you get first access to it.
Yes.
And then we'll put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right.
Pick your poison.
Picking my poison for not next week, the week after.
Yes.
Let's see. Yes. Exorcisms and demon possessions. This is a fun one.
I got awful
roulette. Woo!
Right.
I love this one.
I do too. It's kind of exciting.
It is exciting. I'm happy I thought of it.
All right, roulette jar.
Roulette jar. What did she get?
Oh,
Get the one.
There's one that's left that we haven't done yet.
Yeah. How about you just pick that one? Do that one. What is it?
The whole intention.
It's a whole intention. All right. We've never done this topic.
This is a brand new
This
topic.
is really exciting.
Haunted artifacts.
Oh, boy. Okay. So here's the thing. There is one artifact I don't want either of us to ever do, and it's Robert.
Yes, no.
I'm saying that, and I'm sure you've heard
Yes.
on, and that's why we drink.
Yes.
But whenever a podcast talks about Robert's story, it tends to have a negative effect on the listener.
Yeah.
They get in car accidents, something bad happens to them while listening to the episode. We don't want that for our listeners.
Hopefully we're not doing it now.
No, it's when telling his story.
Okay.
So I'm putting a forever ban on Robert the Doll. If you must know, you can look it up on your own, but beware.
I have listened to a story about him.
Yeah.
And I was fine, but
I didn't listen to a story about Robert, but I've watched videos about Robert. And I don't put much weight behind it. There are people who do.
Yeah.
So I just think it's better to just put a moratorium on Robert the Doll.
Fair enough.
Maybe we'll lift it someday.
Maybe someday when we're brave and strong.
Not today.
Not today.
Maybe
Satan.
someday we'll go visit where Robert the Doll is.
Oh man, this is gonna be
and then we can cover it.
This is gonna be a creepy episode. So you're gonna do demons.
And you're gonna do haunted artifacts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be a doozy.
It's gonna be a doozy.
I'm excited to see what you come up with.
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, it will be.
Well, guys.
All right. That's it. We reached the end.
It's been us. Let's do you want to do the spiel? Do you want me to do the spiel?
Okay, so you can find us on all the social medias that have banned Donald Trump, except for Pinterest. I love saying that. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all at How Awful Podcast. And Facebook.
Where we have like the most followers.
We have the most followers on Facebook, really?
We have like 1,500 followers.
Do they interact with us?
No.
Losers.
I don't know why they're there. Do you even listen to us or do you just like our logo?
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, How Awful Podcast. You can go to howawfulpodcast.com and hey, guess what? There's a whole list of where you can find us. You can go to patreon.howawfulpodcast.com and subscribe. You can give us your money. And if you give us your money, we give you extra goodies.
Isn't that fun?
We write you little love notes directly to you. Yeah. No, not really, but we write you little love notes.
We actually do write notes.
We do write notes. And video is pending. It is coming very soon. It is coming in April. That's a hopefully promise.
Attached that took.
So I have this hope to record us going on a notoriously haunted hike in Los Angeles with my brother. Mm-hmm. If we can't do that, then maybe we will just record us doing the podcast with my brother, and we can put that up. My brother, who is Wild Space Outpost on Instagram, TikTok, he is a custom lightsaber maker, so you can find him. Get hip. He's going to be on the podcast.
Hippity hoppity.
Hippity hoppity. Hip hip.
And Kristen does.
It's Through My Eyes.
Yeah, she does art.
She does acrylic pours.
Yeah.
If you want really cool ceiling fans, when she's on next week, we're going to let her give a full spiel.
She does jewelry too, doesn't she?
She does jewelry. She's even done like toilet seats and stuff.
It's amazing.
She's done really cool stuff.
Yeah.
You give her something, she can pour on it, and it looks pretty dope.
Art.
The ceiling fans is just what blows me away.
I know.
They're
those were
so cool.
I remember I was like, look at what your sister
I
is
know.
doing.
I know. It's so cool. Anyway, yeah, that was a little side pluggy. So give us your money at patreon.howawful.com. Right?
Patreon.com/howawfulpodcast. Oh my God.
I'm really bad at this part.
That's why I let you do it every now and then. I think maybe someday you'll just
No,
remember.
it's never going to stick.
I don't know.
Never. You can tell us the stories.
Yes.
All of the stories. Literally any story.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell us about helping an old lady across the street? You can tell us.
But we mostly want your awful stories.
We want your awful stories. Or if you have a How Wonderful you'd like to share, we will share that.
Mm-hmm. We hope you enjoyed our How Wonderful Wednesday.
Yes.
That happened.
Yes.
We were recording before it happened, but
Yes.
it's going to happen.
It was good. Wasn't it great?
Wasn't it so fun?
Wasn't it wonderful?
Wasn't it? Oh my God. All of you guys interacted. It was so great. It made all my dreams come true.
So great.
Everyone
if you
did it.
guys send in your assistants, we will add them to the How Wonderful Wednesdays.
Yeah, if you guys follow us on Instagram, we do have an assistants highlight reel, so you can see our assistants.
Our assistants are dang cute.
One of them is just, now she's staring at her food, but she was staring directly at us while we were talking about her. Oh yeah, she's gonna go eat it now.
Oh, good for her.
Anyway,
was that all?
I think so. I don't know if you
Did
said
I
our
do it?
website, but our website.
I did. I said that's where they can find all the things. HowAwfulPodcast.com.
Perfect.
I did. I said it.
You know what? I'm proud of you.
No, you shouldn't be. I messed up.
No, I just love you so much. I don't care. Hey, don't do that because that makes a weird sound.
I messed up.
Let's sigh.
This is the How Awful Podcast.
I've been Tanya Lee.
I've been me.
This is How Awful.
I'm a be. Yeah.
On the next level.
I'm a be rocking some of that bass treble. As always, we've been Bee and Tanya Lee. Our logo was created by MJ Savard, and our theme music courtesy of Nikki Lou.